Welcome back. We have a lot to get through. So I'm playing on a fresh new save file while learning Dual Blades for the first time, with the ultimate goal of defeating Fatalis. I've put around 70 hours into this file since episode 1, and while you won't see all of that today, I still have a lot to show you. Elder Dragon Namiel is next on the chopping block for the main protagonist. Personally, I love this monster's design choice. Its vibrant neon colours give it an alien cyberpunk-esque look. Up to this point, you haven't really seen a monster quite like this. Kirin is maybe the closest comparison, but that's purely just due to its flashy lightning. So Namiel really pushes the hunter to be aware of their surroundings. It soaks the battleground with water before conducting it with electricity, creating a harsh AoE attack. One wrong step in this fight and it's extremely easy to get stunned in one shot. Also, its ultimate. I love that sound. The brief pause truly just adds to the tension of the fight. It gives you such a sense of relief when you dodge it. Now, I don't want to focus too much on the fight mechanics as I did in episode 1. There are already so many guides on each hunt in this game, so I'd rather just use this as a platform to share my general thoughts. Now, jumping back into the overarching story, we meet up with a familiar face. Now, this isn't the same kind of Nergigante we're used to. It's a variant known as Ruiner Nergigante, a slightly weaker Ruiner Nergigante with considerably less HP at that, but we'll get back to that shortly. Throughout base game world, Nergigante is always the key plot device, driving the story forward. Incredibly early on in the game, we're searching for evidence of its whereabouts, which always seems to lead the hunters into compromising scenarios. Nergigante was of course the flagship monster of base world and one of my personal favourites. Seeing it return so late into Iceborne as a new variant was such a welcome surprise back in my original playthrough. However, as I already mentioned, if Nergi turns up, it's because something else is around the corner. For those of you who have progressed this far into the game, please comment below your thoughts on this fight. Maybe it's just me, but these large scale fights seem so polarising in my mind. On one hand, the grandeur experience, the spectacle with these hunts were always so cool the first time around, and I absolutely cannot deny that. But purely looking at it as a hunt, coming back the second or third time, they just don't do it for me. I felt the same way with Xeno'jiiva, for example. Now again, as I said for Namiel, I don't want to spoil the fights too much. I want any of the newer players that are looking to really get to this fight themselves and experience it in more detail. I'll probably break this rule as we move forward into some of the more renowned monsters, but for now that can wait. Anyway, game mechanics aside, Shara is such a cool monster. Breaking that shell for the first time, revealing it to be this strange dragon was so awesome. In tangent with the Iceborne plot as well, through the fight we figure out that the strange cries and earthquakes we'd been experiencing up to this point was actually Shara's power. It digs its wingtips into the ground and channels high power vibrations through them to manipulate the earth. It does so with so much power that it can seemingly collapse mountain ranges if it wanted to. As a quick side note, I also just wanted to mention how perfect the Palico armor set is for Shara. If that doesn't motivate you to go beat it, I don't know what does. Following our victory over this colossal enemy, we're not making our way over to what is known as the Guiding Lands, another area of contention for Monster Hunter fans. As you might be able to tell, the Guiding Lands are an odd construct consisting of all the other regions in the game, such as the Ancient Forest or Wildspire Waste, all combined into a singular map. Along with this arrives a host of new monsters, including my personal favourite, Zinogre, who is immediately present to welcome us to our new home for the next countless amount of hours. In a lot of ways, this is a huge part of the Monster Hunter World endgame. Players will enter the Guiding Lands through an expedition and are able to endlessly fight monsters and harvest the many materials that are spread throughout the level. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, this special area provides unique endgame materials and rewards exclusive to the Guiding Lands. Each and every monster, bone pile and ore node drop new materials that you will need for late game upgrades and augments. And just to be super clear on that, these new materials only drop in the Guiding Lands expeditions. It's not a case of, oh, now I've unlocked this new Rathalos scale, let me go hunt Rathalos in the Ancient Forest. No, you must hunt Rathalos in the Guiding Lands to get your hands on that exclusive material. So each sub-area within the Guiding Lands has a level tied to it. Each level can be increased to a maximum of level 7, which is done by defeating monsters or researching them by doing the basics, such as picking up tracks or breaking parts. These levels are locked behind multiple master rank checkpoints. The game does a great job of informing you when you've hit these, so don't stress on it. Now, as you increase an area level, the pool of monsters which can spawn within it also increases, allowing you to fight elder dragons, tempered monsters, etc. New resources can also be gathered from the previously mentioned bone piles and ore nodes as these levels increase. As you might expect as well, there will be a lot of new encounters you haven't previously had access to in the game, which you only unlock once you reach certain Guiding Lands levels. I know this is a lot of information, but everything makes sense so far, right? Here's where things get slightly more complicated. So your area levels can actually decrease. Let's say you're focusing on leveling up the forest area to the max because you need a certain material from a monster that requires you to do this. If you were to then get to, let's say, level 5 and then go around hunting a bunch of monsters that are not connected to the forest area, you will eventually lose XP, drop to level 4, and of course you would then need to go farm monsters again to increase it. Now don't worry, this isn't as scary or daunting as it might sound. The game has a mechanic that allows you to choose a monster of your choice to lure into the Guiding Lands, which then helps you farm out each sub-area level as and when you need to do so. And again, I don't want to overload you with too much information on this. Personally, I think new players should just have fun hunting everything in long sessions and progressing as you go. If you ever need a specific material for an upgrade, I recommend just to look it up on the Monster Hunter Wiki and you'll immediately know which region to farm out. Feel free to ask any questions you might have on this in the comment section below. I'm sure me or the other players watching will be happy to help out. As I'm sure you've realised in the background, you've been watching a bunch of footage from these Guiding Lands lockable monsters such as Rajang and Zinogre. I didn't plan on making separate videos for these hunts, however, if enough people would like me to do that, I'll be happy to oblige. It's been very therapeutic sitting down in the evening with a cup of tea and just writing these scripts for the videos. I'd also like to thank everyone who left me kind words in the previous episode. If you've also made it this far into the video, it would do me the world of favours if you subscribed or shared it with others. We'll be getting into some of the meatier encounters World has to offer in the coming videos, so stay tuned.